Well, my background is mostly in journalism, and I've been interested in these kinds of issues for a long time, but in early 2005 I became aware of the seriousness of the combination of peak oil and climate change and economic instability coming together, and realized how vulnerable our community was here in Boulder. And so my partner and I, Renewable decided, well, we first thought that since this is Boulder, Colorado, that we'd just join one of the many local groups who were working on all this, and we found there was no. So it was a terrible disappointment to realize that we would have to start all this from scratch. Yeah, the basic steps are, first of all, an individual who sees the problems and sees the possibilities that transition offers starts an initiating group. The initiating group needs to be people who are really inspired, who are well informed about the issues, and who are committed to the health and well-being of their community, committed to bringing transition into that community. So it's tricky to find those people, but that's how that group forms. That initiating group is key to the whole process, because that group is going to be holding the vision for their community, which creates an awareness-raising campaign throughout the community to engage as many people as possible in the community in envisioning a sustainable, resilient, self-reliant future for that community, and then ultimately developing an actual plan for implementing that vision in their community. We believe, as near as we can tell, that the transition process can work in any kind of community, any scale of community. If we only look at external change or external transition, then it will be unsustainable. You know, it has to be grounded by internal wholeness. You know, it has to be grounded by an internal connectedness with the fundamental sacredness of life. If that's not there, then we'll wind up with just more of the same. You know, we're learning from native traditions about vision quests, you know, and you go out in search of a vision, and you go through a period of, you know, preparation, spiritual preparation to be ready to receive that vision. Well, this is like a community level vision quest, you know, and it's like there is a vision that's wanting to be born, wanting to be actualized in that community. And so that initiating group is the one who is tuned into that is willing to be the vehicle for that, and to hold that. And so it's a very different kind of thing than community planning or economic development or smart growth or any of those kinds of things, because it's what's emerging in a transition initiative on a local level is I will say it's really coming from the earth itself. We feel that while it may not be possible to change the system, and it might. And there are some people who are working on that, and we're all for those people who are trying to change the system. But meanwhile, we think it's important to build a parallel system, because I believe that the current system in any arena that you want to look at, the current system is profoundly unsustainable and will ultimately collapse. So we have to make sure that there is a way to support and nourish human beings on the planet in the meantime. I think there are a lot of lessons out of the experience of Cuba. One is how important permaculture is, because there were many permaculturists already working in Cuba before the Soviet Union collapsed and their oil supply was cut off almost overnight. And so the permaculturists were able to come forward and redesign the whole agricultural system very, very rapidly. I mean, it was a period. They went from a fossil fuel based agricultural system to a almost totally organic, local, labor intensive system in a matter of 18 months. And it was a tough 18 months, but they did it. So that's first thing. Permaculture is essential. Number two, it was easier there because the government mandated it.
Yeah, a small detail.
Yeah. So we have a very different situation here, and the full-blown crisis hasn't yet landed here. So we have this challenge of warning people about an emergency that they can't quite see yet. It's over the horizon. Well, it's not over the horizon in Japan today. It's right in their laps. And as a result of that, many people today are greatly accelerating their preparation work because it's becoming increasingly clear how vulnerable our communities are and how inadequate our governments will be to respond to these kinds of challenges. I get myself in real trouble on this one.
It's organic.
I think that the globalized economic system will continue to resist. It wants to maintain the current system. I mean, the oil-based system. I mean, that's really what I'm talking about here. So the resistance is deep and resistance is futile. I mean, we will have to make the change. But there's another step that we can take before this shift to renewables, this obvious step to renewables, happens, and that is to dramatically reduce our consumption. And Al Gore a couple of years ago announced a plan of how we could get to all renewable energy, and this is part of what transition is about, is showing people how to reduce our consumption, not just our energy consumption, but consumption of all kinds, because we know we don't have any choice but to do that, even though it's not on most people's radar.
Just in time! That was so good!
So can we do that in a way that provides us a much more richer and dynamic kind of life than we have with the consumer culture? And many people are suggesting that we can do that. We're often told that the world of our dreams is against human nature, is impossible, and it's not. And one of the things transition about in the work that Michael's doing is to try to show us the world of our dreams is possible.
Yeah. And it's not only possible, but it's absolutely necessary. It's the only kind of life that's really, truly sustainable.